My name is Stephanie Rollins. I'm a graduate student at Latorno University. This is a practice counseling video for learning purposes only. This is not a real counseling video, and this is a volunteer. Thank you for volunteering, Kennedy. I appreciate that. And today I wanted to address some of the issues. We may touch upon some things that we have spoken about previously, but tell me what brought you here today.
Just having issues with communication and work-related issues. Just kind of stuff, misunderstandings, and I don't know necessarily how to deal with it very well.
So these issues, where are they taking place? Home, school,
work? Mostly work. I don't know, maybe at home, because then when it happens at work, I go home and I'm pissy and don't want to talk or be nice to anyone.
So tell me about this work issue that's overspilling into other areas.
I feel like they just want my ideas, but when it comes to like wanting information or anything like that, I feel like I'm just met with like kind of just go but why you're told, don't ask questions. I feel stupid when I ask questions because I'm met with like satire or kind of condescending comments back. So I've just been like, I put a lot of energy into the job, so when I get talked to like that, it gets like frustrating. Yeah.
So get talked to like that, you mean by, is this coworkers or bosses? Or
my general manager, boss, not too sure who's more important, I don't know, but mostly just like my superiors.
So give me an example of an issue that has been frustrating and difficult to navigate.
We have a group message that we communicate on, and I don't know, anytime I send something in, my GM has kind of a smart aleck response to things, and he feels as though I'm being defensive when I'm just generally asking questions or concerned about something. So it's just frustrating to be singled out all the time. Whatever.
Do your coworkers bring things up?
Sometimes, but not nearly as much as I do. So I mean, I don't know. I just was raised, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask about the question.
So when this takes place, what type of environment is it?
There's not an environment. It's all over group messaging, and I've brought up to more of my superiors, my three managers, that we shouldn't be communicating group messaging, but in person it's like nothing happened or nothing's being said, or it's kind of like you just wait until I say something managerial wise, but all this communication's happening over messaging, and it's just, I feel like it's making me look like a bad employee because anything I send in the group message is getting taken out of context. It just feels kind of like a never-ending cycle.
So what I'm hearing is these conversations that you're asking questions, the forum is actually all the employees. It's a group. It's all, so everybody's seeing the information. If you get chastised or if their tone in the group message is hurtful, everybody sees it. So is that correct?
Yes.
That can be uncomfortable and difficult to navigate, but there are ways to navigate that. What are some ways that you've responded to that, or ways that you've tried to navigate that once you've identified that issue?
I bring it up to the head boss or owner about my concerns, or just try to stay quiet and not not intrude too much. Like, I don't try to put my voice in any conversation. I'll just try to say okay. I kind of just take it back now. I don't really even try to keep a conversation, or if I have questions, I'll just go to someone directly.
So it sounds confusing with the leadership. You don't always know who to go to, or to ask a question. You don't know what type of response you'll get back in front of everybody. So when you saw that happen, did you make efforts at a solution already, just so we don't revisit the same things, or maybe we can build on?
I mean, I try to make solutions, but the GM kind of just says his piece, and whatever his piece is, it goes. I mean, it doesn't matter what my suggestion is.
So, I mean, I don't mean solutions to work-related issues, more so solutions to the communication.
Well, I just have been
issues.
saying okay. I don't really care to put my 2 cents in anymore, so it's just kind of like mum's the word, or okay, yes sir, no ma'am. That's it.
So let me ask you then, what do you see as some possible solutions to this issue, besides what you've tried, distancing yourself? Um, are there other possible solutions that you have thought about? Maybe you want to run them by me, or things that you have tried beyond?
No, I think distancing is the only solution, because I don't know what else to do when I already
Okay.
try to be a good employee and I already do what's expected of me and then some, so I don't know what more I can do. It sounds like they need to be thinking of a solution.
All right. So let's move away from that just for a minute. What do you feel Kennedy's strengths are? What overall, not just work related, but your strengths?
I don't know. Good listener, talker, talent. I don't know. I can do anything if I'm showed how to do it.
So
adaptable, flexible. I don't know.
You're a quick learner. If you can learn things quickly, you pick it up quickly. I think you mentioned that you just got on the Honor Society in your college courses. So I see a lot of strengths that you may not be seeing right now. You get great grades in school. You excel at what you've put effort into, your work. You also do some graphic arts, and you're an amazing cook. Um, Things that I've gleaned from our other meetings. So you do have a lot of strengths and a lot to bring to an employer. But sometimes it's not necessarily you, it's leadership. And navigating confusing leadership can be tricky. And maybe those are some ideas and solutions we can think about. What would you like to see happen in a perfect work environment? What do you see? How do you see it going if it was a perfect work environment?
Well, I would just hope that they would actually ask my opinion, or because I feel like I give ideas and then they're like, yeah, that's great. And then 2 weeks later, they'll run my idea and act like it was theirs. And I'm like, okay, let's just not act like I mentioned. Not that I necessarily need or want the credit, it's just kind of like the recognition that this person doesn't have to put in all this effort, but they are. So I don't know. I guess just
So part of your work ethic is bringing 100%. That means your ideas, your efforts, your solutions. And from what I'm hearing, it's not being received very well. Is that right?
Yeah.
Have you thought any about if your ideas are not being accepted or acknowledged, that maybe that's not where your ideas will be able to flourish?
Yeah, I've already been applying to other jobs, so I mean, I guess it's just a waiting game because I can't make people hire me.
So what would be different at another job? What will you be able to take away from this job and bring to that one that you've learned from the communication, from the work environment? What will you be able to take away? So it kind of like, so we don't keep doing the same patterns.
Organization, kind of setting, who is my superior, because right now it's kind of like all over the place. Just, I don't know, being wary of, of the disorganization and and superiority, and if that's the case, then that's not the job for me, because I don't need the stress of already being an employee and stressing about people's who are apparently higher than me. So
Do you see this a pattern in your positions, that you give 100% and you give your ideas?
Well, no, because I don't go in a job acting like a jerk or acting like I know better than my boss. It's just I can't help how people take whatever it is I have to say, or I can't, especially if it's over a text message, I can't teach you not to take it some kind of way. Like, that's just something you have to deal with yourself.
Texting can create quite a few communication snafus, because again, in texting, we don't get to hear a tone, nonverbal cues, and it's so easy and common to have a text taken out of context. Um, the other thing I'm hearing is that sometimes chastisement or correction is done in a group setting in front of everyone. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
That can be embarrassing and uncomfortable. What did you feel?
Annoyed. I just didn't understand why it needed to be singled out when that wasn't the intention of a message. So, yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Makes me feel like everyone's looking at me like I'm an idiot or something.
Well, you're not an idiot.
I know that. It's just, I don't like, that's what it feels like. Like, oh, okay, sorry. I didn't mean to ask the question that was going to make everyone feel some kind of way.
Okay. So rather than just distancing yourself, on the next position, you're looking for another environment, a better fit. What about the communication aspect? Did you learn anything from speaking in front of a group versus maybe speaking to leadership in private first?
And that's probably all I've taken from it, because it's not, I don't, I don't know if what's wrong with my communication. I feel like I'm very communicative and I tend to keep it respectful. But yeah, just
And
leaving it at that.
and you probably do. I'm sure you do keep it respectful. Some work environments aren't always clear if they have an open door policy, or some other type of communication policy. That can also be confusing if it's not clear. Sometimes it's a good idea to determine that up front. But But you have had a lot of good ideas. I have seen your workplace implement some of those ideas. Um, how do you feel about that?
It's great, but I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like there's no recognition for it. So I mean, I'm happy about it because I'm like, yeah, there's my staple on it, and I can say like, yeah, I came up with that. But there's not like any recognition or like, hey, good job. Like I really like that idea. Or, it kind of is just like, oh, thanks.
And
So I mean,
here's another way to maybe think about it, or another approach is, what is a work environment made up of?
people.
People. So people are what can influence that work environment, whether it's enjoyable, whether communication is a positive. So it's not necessarily your work or your um, position or job that's a problem so much as the communication infrastructure um, going on with the members of that workplace. So tell me this, if or when you change positions to another job and you see some of the same issues, how will you go about handling it in that new environment?
Hopefully, the owner or whoever I'm supposed to report those to, if it's HR, will do something about it. I can't, or I just won't work there.
Do you think you'll go about communicating differently the next time?
More than likely, just because I'm to the point where I just want to work so I can make a living and not have to worry about all the extracurricular.
So, what are some things you'll do differently?
Just report to whoever I'm supposed to report to and go to them directly and not. Hopefully, that, like I can't really say what I can do differently besides what I've already been coached to do differently by my managers. It's more of their, like I said, they're all I can do is just continuing doing my job and making the corrections that I've been told to make.
So, let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, I don't know the fancy word for that, and 10 being awesome. On a scale right now, where would you rate how you feel about your workplace environment?
like a 6.5, 7.
So that's good.
I mean, yeah, because I enjoy the people that I see every day. Because I enjoy the members that come in and some of my coworkers. But I don't like that it's like there's always something from management that they're not handling that we end up having to handle. So I mean, that's the takeaway. It's nice, but I don't know. That's just how I feel.
I wasn't expecting that though. That's good. That's only a few points then to bump up to 10, right? So you tell me, think about it. What would make it a 10? A 10 environment that you would see.
Just the management not always just because you feel like you're older doesn't mean you're right. Like I'm I'm capable of taking it. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I haven't had tons of work experience. I've worked for CPA firms, I've worked for law firms, I've worked for mom and pop places and franchises. So I mean, you can look at my resume and tell that I've been all over the map in corporations and businesses. So why I just think sometimes management needs to think less of, I don't know, the way I was coached is, you don't want to be a strict leader, you want to be a kind leader because you're more respected and people are more probable to follow in your footsteps or whatever you're saying when you're being kind and praising rather than being condescending and kind of just a jerk.
Sure.
like no one wants to do anything for someone that's being a jerk about it.
So how does that bring it to a 10?
I don't know. It just depends on management. I don't know how to make it.
Changing other people them. Is hard. You're right. So what can Kennedy do that might bump it up to an 8?
Just practice.
Or a 9.
Just practicing those skills and doing the corrections that my management's told me to make. That's about it.
Okay. And in the meantime, are you still looking for another position, another work environment?
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think I get paid enough to deal with all that.
So even though it's a 6 or 7, it's more the pay that you would like to move?
Well, I mean, because there's things that I have going on that, I could probably take on more pay, but at this point, it's more so just the management making it kind of a whirlwind of stress right now. So that's really, if they can change, then I won't mind, not worrying about necessarily pay and whatever. But if not, then yeah, I should probably find a place that's going to pay me for the troubles of dealing with the management like that sometimes.
Okay, I have 2 questions for you then. How is this affecting you spiritually? Do you have a faith that you rely on as a resource for strength? Where's your strength come from?
I don't know. I guess I just trust that everything works out. Either way, it's always going to be okay, regardless of how slow it's taking or how crappy I feel. So I'm an optimist.
You are? You're an optimist?
I feel like I am. I may not be
good.
Cheerful and joyful all the time, but doesn't mean I have to be.
Well, the other sessions I've seen, you are always smiling. So spirituality is not something you've focused on or considered a go-to for I guess filling you back up, just strengthening you back up.
No, I don't go to church. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
Then where do you look for when you need that resource? You need to refill, to
myself, because I don't want to fall back to where I've been, and I don't want to, and I know where I don't want to end up. So I trust myself and I rely on myself, and that's all I have at the end of the day.
I believe that's all you have at the end of the day.
Well, no, I mean, granted, I have my friends and family, but I sit up in my head all the time alone. No, mom doesn't sit in my head. My boyfriend doesn't sit in my head. His mom doesn't sit in my head. So it's just me at the end of the day by myself up there figuring it all out. So I have to trust that and trust that I'm going to make the right decision based on the wrong decisions that I've made. I don't have I don't know, I have a different relationship with God. It's not one of going to church or reading a Bible. I communicate with him when I need to, and I just trust that he's looking out for me, and that's about it. I don't need to show myself at church or whatever to prove that I have faith or spirituality.
Okay. And let me ask you one more question, and then you're free. Say you went to bed this evening and you really got a good sleep, and you woke up the next morning sunny, birds are chirping, and a miracle happened. What would that look like to you?
The miracle?
What would that day, what would that feeling be like? What would be different?
I wouldn't have a message from my job waiting for me on my phone. There would not.
That would be the miracle? Oh, you can think bigger than that.
When you're being texted 24 hours a day, every day, and it strains your relationship with your significant other because you're getting messages all the time and you're always talking to work and you're always doing this for work, yeah, that would be a miracle to not have to deal with something work related and to just be focused on my schoolwork and not have to have that in the back of my mind, like, oh, did I do this for work or did I get this done? Like, just to focus on myself would be nice. But
so that would be the miracle, that work would not communicate with you at all on your own time. That would be the miracle?
Just like a day to just not have to worry about anything. Everything is just kind of worrying about itself.
That's an easy miracle. That's an easy miracle. We can do that. But I do hear you. I hear you. And those, I think, are some solutions we can work on about creating those boundaries, internal boundaries and external boundaries. I think that's a good area for us to tease apart our goals. But what do you think? Because they're going to be your goals.
I mean, yeah, anything to be better.
Be better.
Like, better than, I'm always trying to be better than I am, so if it helps in the long run.
Okay, let's pick one thing to work on next week with work. Actually, you're getting ready to go into work. One thing that we can work on and then discuss next week. Simple, not complicated. One simple thing. What would that be?
Changing my mindset not to prepare for the worst and try to be nice to people.
That's a good one. Booyah, I would drop the mic. That's a good one. Okay, is that, I know I've seen you change your mindset before. And that's something that you are going to work on this week, and we're going to talk about reframing that perspective, reframing your perspective in that situation.
Yeah.
And I think the other item we touched on was not just throwing things out there in a group setting at work. Run it by your boss first, or if there's concerns, go to your boss first.
Yeah.
And leave it to them on how they want to disseminate that. That's something a takeaway that I was hearing too. So I'm going to ask about this next week.
Okay.
And I'm going to be charting those moods from your affect and everything. And then we're going to, but you've come up with this yourself. Your goal and how you want to present yourself in that work environment and how you're going to go about it. That's great. That's a good start. Kennedy, thank you for being my volunteer. I appreciate it. And I will say a prayer about your work environment because you are an awesome young lady with so many talents. And this may just not be the place where they're going to shine. Thank you again. And we're going to touch base again next week on these goals.